Salam alaikum, everyone. Welcome back to the Real Talk, day 13 with Saika Riyad, the marriage mindset coach. She helps married couples transform and thrive in their marriages, and she also helps and supports divorced women. And what are we talking about today? Oh, you have to introduce me, Saika.
Subhanallah, and the wonderful Rosaline Batu, mashallah, she is a business coach who helps coaches sell high ticket offers. Thank you very much for joining us today. Today, we are going to be talking about two very important things actually, depression and anxiety.
hmm
Subhanallah. So, this is something that comes up a lot of the times in many different cases. So, Rosaline, would you like to tell us what do you know about depression and anxiety? And please let us know where you're tuning in from and everything so we can see and interact,
Yes.
inshallah.
So guys, just so you know a bit of my background, I'm a trauma informed coach. So I work with the root cause of symptoms. So when I work with my clients, and I work with over 200 people on depression and anxiety, I look at the root cause. Where did it come from? Now, if you've been watching us from before, you know we've been talking about emotions, beliefs, and events and stories. So what happens is, maybe as a child, something happened, an event happened that cause you to have a negative reaction or to suppress your emotions. And then what happens is, because you can't express your emotions because we're humans, you suppress it. And usually the symptom that happens after that is depression and anxiety. Now, when I look at depression specifically, when I look at the like what the root cause is, usually it's two things. Is the negative things you say about yourself from that event, or it's because you're not fulfilling your purpose. So you're not living your life's purpose. So that's the two things I've always noticed when it comes to depression. So what's anxiety, Saika?
SubhanAllah, before we go on to anxiety, even, I think depression and anxiety, both of them, they're like 1 minute you're completely fine, you're okay, and the next minute you feel like you're dying. Some people have literally said that. They
Yeah.
become sweaty, they might start shaking, and they're all over the place, and then they're having a panic attack, subhanallah.
Mm,
So this is actually some of the things that happens as a result of depression and anxiety. And there is a difference between depression and anxiety. Anxiety is basically the subtle difference between anxiety and depression is anxiety, you're imagining a horrible future, you're worried about the future,
hmm
right? That's where anxiety is. It's, you need to become present. You're not thinking about right now, you're thinking about the future. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if this coronavirus doesn't end? What if this lockdown carries on for this many months? Right? It's the uncertainty of the future. And depression, alternatively, depression is, subhanallah, you're stuck on a past event, right? There's dark emotions linked to that. Something keeps pulling that person back. So that's actually the subtle difference between
Yeah.
depression and anxiety. But both of them have similar kind of things that you need to resolve them, is to actually start living in the present.
And with anxiety, people have a lot of panic attacks that I've noticed. They may
Yeah.
feel like feel anxious going out. They may feel anxious in crowds. They may feel anxious speaking. So it comes up in different settings as well with anxiety, because you're always thinking about, just like Psyche said, you think about something's going to happen, right?
Something's going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
And talking about panic attack, and I witnessed this in my family
Mm,
about a week ago, and it was really scary. And this family member, she got really panicky, right? And she said, "I'm dying. Look at
wow.
me." And this is a really bad panic attack, right?
Yeah.
And she's trembling, and her feet are shaking. And they've actually, like, when your hands and your feet just kind of not change shape, but they've what's the word? They've kind of crumpled up or something, and you've gone numb,
Mm,
and you're shaking, and I'm dying, and what's happening, and the heartbeat is really really fast, and there's this overwhelm of emotion, and I'm dying. Is this a heart attack? What's wrong? I've gone numb. And subhanallah, these things are very real,
mm,
and they can be really severe if you
yeah.
don't treat them, and they
Right.
can result from many different things.
Yeah. Another thing I want to add to that is, going back to depression, is sometimes depression looks like procrastination as well, doesn't it? Or
Yeah,
laziness.
That
or
could be a
avoiding.
symptom of,
Yeah.
yes, avoidance. Yeah.
Because I've had a lot of clients who go to me, I just can't do it. I don't know what's wrong with me. I know what to do. I have everything in front of me, but I just can't do it. And usually it's not because of procrastination, it's because they're feeling depressed. The root of their being is depressed, that your soul is depressed, that kind of feeling is just so heavy. So sometimes it can come up as even self-sabotage when something's going right and then you mess things up as well because you're so used to feeling low, right? It's just
Yeah.
this low feeling that you're always in, that you just can't get out of bed sometimes. Maybe it may be that bad that you can't get out of bed, you can't get dressed, you can't have a shower, you can't brush your hair. That the normal functioning of a human being, you can't do it. That's depression. That can be considered like manic depression, when you're just like, you have seasons of it. So you're depressed for like 3-4 weeks or like a
Yeah.
month, and then you feel
You've
okay.
even got PTSD as well, haven't you?
Yeah,
Post-traumatic stress
post-traumatic
disorder.
stress disorder.
Yeah.
Yes, and they fall into anxiety and depression, right? That same symptoms. Sometimes it can look like a panic attack. Sometimes it can look like really low days where you just can't do anything.
So, subhanallah, and what we have to look at, and as Rosaline said, is don't look at the symptom, whether it's procrastination or avoidance or
Yeah,
not being able to sleep or sleeping too much. That's actually a symptom of
yeah,
the depression. What you
yes.
have to do is go back and find the cause. And when
Mm-hmm.
you go back and find the cause, usually it's a limiting belief that is causing you to be like that. And that limiting belief has got, it's like a table, right? Imagine
Mm,
having a table that's got four legs, right? And on that the table is the belief, and the four legs are the things that you believe make this belief real and true. So if
mm,
I said to you that, okay, I'm a really ugly person, if that was my limiting belief that I'm really ugly, then I'll have four incidents. I might even have more than four, right?
mm,
That back that limiting belief of, okay, when I was in school, I got bullied. My husband doesn't compliment me. I don't look nice in these clothes. I don't ever do this or whatever. So all
mm.
this belief, the limiting belief is you've joined different scenarios and stories, and it's made it more stronger. You have to destroy the cause, not the effect, which is procrastination, which is
Mm,
staying in bed all day, which is having the panic attacks. And
yeah,
sometimes, and even though I'm not anti-medicine, but medication isn't going to help you, isn't going to help change your beliefs,
it's just a
right?
band-aid. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and sometimes medication is fantastic, especially in crisis situations,
yeah, of course.
right? And you need a quick thing
Something just to
temporarily.
level you out. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're in a real crisis, but you need the tools. And subhanallah, having the tools with NLP also allowed me to go deeper into that belief and allow that and really look at where is this coming from and change it, because once you
Mm.
address the cause, the anxiety will go away as well.
Yeah, and also I want to talk about the belief. Every single person I've worked with around depression and anxiety, whether they are successful, like I've worked with six-figure coaches who have depression, and
Mm.
the root belief is always, I'm not good enough. So
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
when you don't feel good enough within yourself, nothing you ever do is enough. You will constantly feel like there's a void within you that you just cannot fill, because you have that belief that I'm not good enough no matter what I do, no matter how much money I make, no matter if my marriage is going great, no matter if I have kids, no matter if my kids are straight A students, you just don't feel good enough. So no matter what happens in your life, it will never hit that standard, or it will never exceed that standard of you not feeling good enough. And the way to flip that belief is obviously change it to I am enough. Once you feel like you are good enough and you are enough, then whatever happens to you, whatever you have in your life, you're more grateful for, is a bonus in your life. But you have to feel good enough within for you to like get out of the depression mode.
yeah, subhanallah. And there's a lot of doubt that comes with people. They think when they're trying to do something, they say that we have this internal, like, kind of chitter chatter, that who are you? But this tool really allows you to resolve it, because then
Yeah, it
nothing is
does.
driving that anxiety anymore.
Yeah.
And usually people, they get stuck with something because in a certain situation there was there was something went wrong, right, in their life or in their past or in their childhood, in their marriage, right?
Yeah.
And somebody says something, and that situation is just a trigger, and that triggers a response that causes this anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So subhanallah, and with and having that ability with NLP, it gives us the ability to look at the cause,
Mm-hmm.
resolve it so you can get your life back on track,
Yeah.
and build the one you do want. And the only thing that you can really take charge of, you have control of, is yourself. Right? And we think that we don't, and yes, it feels like that because it is a vicious cycle, as they say. But you have to fix that. You have to get help for that.
Yeah, I know. You know what it is with depression? Like sometimes you'll create avoidant attachments and anxious attachments. So an avoidant attachment is when you go into your state, you'll be like, oh, I don't need anyone around me. And I've had people like that go, you know what, when I'm depressed, I just don't want no help. I don't want anyone around me. I want to be left alone. That's called an avoidant attachment pattern. When you have an anxious attachment pattern, you think to yourself that you're going to hurt someone. The root cause is that you feel like you're going to hurt someone, so you get anxious over everything. Like you can't pursue your dreams, you can't pursue your passions because you feel someone's going to get hurt in the end. So there's two kind of attachment patterns that happens from childhood trauma, and I've noticed that a lot with my clients, and that's what the symptom that rises up from that is depression and anxiety again. But I wanted to touch upon, and when you're depressed because you're not fulfilling your purpose, and not a lot of people talk about this, and I've noticed that a lot of people that are very ambitious, and if you're an overachiever or you're an ambitious person, when you feel like you're not doing something with your life, you fall into depression. And I actually had a few clients like this. They were like, I'm making money, I have a business, but I just feel depressed.
SubhanAllah, I know exactly what you mean, because
Right.
I've worked with, mashallah, pharmacists and dentists and people who are doing really well.
And just don't feel like they're on their life course. Like, I don't feel like this is the path for me. I don't feel like I'm doing the right thing. And then when you dig a bit deeper, like when they were kids, they're very creative. And really what they wanted to do, they wanted to help people, but not in the sense of being like a doctor or a dentist. They wanted to be like, have their own business. They wanted to be a coach, or they wanted to be an artist. There was some other thing that they wanted to do that they're not fulfilling. Sometimes when you're not fulfilling your purpose, it doesn't have to be a monetary gain, but you're not creating like activities around your passions. So for me, like for anyone, if you like
They have
art,
no routine. You're just going with the flow. You're just going with the flow. Whatever somebody says, your reactionary mode, you're in victim mode. Your language it's all about you. It's your fault. It's her fault. It's that person's fault. It's every single person's fault on the planet except your own.
Exactly.
Because you become a victim. Yeah, you become in a victim mindset, and you have to snap out of that. And where does this victim mindset come from? It comes from the story that we tell ourselves. It's linked to a story. You did this to me, or this thing happened. It's all your fault, and you've given that control and power to that person or event in your life, and it's completely ruined you, because now you've given the power over to them. You're not motivated to do your own things, work on your own goals, right? And you might even be somebody who's successful. So it's really looking at
the blame game. Yeah. When you play that blame game, guys, honestly, like that's what, because you lose focus on yourself. You know what happens is when you blame people, you connect them to you. Remember, you're a separate being. So when you blame someone, you're bringing them into your energy space, and you're making their world your world. Right? You're forcing their energy into your energy. And that's what happens. You give them your power, literally. You're just handing on them over the keys, and here, have it.
Yeah. Have it. Do what you want. Walk all over
me.
Yeah, make me angry, make me guilty, make me upset, make me feel heartbroken. You've got the keys. You've got it's like the driving wheel or whatever, right?
Yeah, you got the
steering wheel, sorry, right? And you just do take me wherever you want, and I'm gonna go by whatever journey you take me on.
Yeah.
But really, subhanAllah, and this is one other thing, Rosie, that a lot of people don't do when they're depressed and anxious. We've probably all done it. I probably have done it as well myself in the past, right? SubhanAllah, is that you need to have 100% responsibility.
Yup, guys.
On owning what it is that you need to work on, or owning what the problem is and fixing it. I'm not blaming you that it's your fault something happened. It's not your fault. It might not be your fault. However, it is your responsibility. And Will Smith even said this. I don't know if you've seen that post. Like Will Smith even said it, subhanAllah, it's not your fault that you were born with a rubbish father and all these issues going on in your household and abusive this and all of that, right? But it is your responsibility to change that, reprogram that, rewire that, and give that a positive meaning so you're out of this rut, so you're not stuck in this rut.
Yeah, and another thing that a lot of people say that, oh well, I have to be able to blame someone. Guys, when things don't go my way, even if it was not my fault, I still I still take responsibility in that situation, even if it's not my fault, because I don't want no one to have my power. I don't want
Yes.
no one to put me in a funk. I don't want no one to take my energy. My energy is very precious. My power is very precious. So even if someone has wronged me, even if something has happened to me, I never say happened to me, I always say happened for me. That's you taking responsibility. Because when you change the language of it happened to me, you become the victim. But when you say to yourself, it happened for me, you become empowered and you think, wow, what lesson can I learn from this? Like I made tons of business mistakes and it wasn't my fault. It was the other, like usually it was the other person's fault, the coach or the mentor, the mastermind, the program. But I still took responsibility, and I'll say to myself that, what did I do wrong in this situation? Always do that, guys. I promise you, when you do that, you will never ever go into that rabbit hole of feeling like a victim and you stay
Yeah.
stuck in a funk.
And that's one of the biggest things, subhanAllah. People have got stuck in this victim mindset. Walaikum salam, Shakira. They've got stuck in this mindset and they just can't get out of it. But really, it's because you've handed over your keys to them and saying, you know what, do what you want with me and you're in control. I'm not in control of me. This event is in control of me. This divorce is in control of me. And, all of this is in control of me. But you have to take that back. And Rosie, I'm going to say, you know what you just said, subhanAllah, I do that. I do exactly the same thing now. If I'm not losing weight, it's my fault.
Exactly.
If I haven't achieved anything in my business or what my goals are in business, it's my fault. Right? SubhanAllah.
Exactly.
If somebody's upset with me, it's my fault.
Right.
And you know what? I'm at peace with that. And I'm happy with that.
It's good.
And I can live with that because if I was to blame that other person the whole time, I would be miserable and depressed.
Guys, you know what? I want to add to that. Yeah, it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. That's literally what it is. When you look, because it's natural as human beings, we look to justify, we look to blame someone because we want justice. That's natural in us. But what you have to understand, end of the day, nothing happens to you. It always happens for you. When you look back at your life, look at where you've been, look at all the negative situations you're in, and you're here today. How did it serve you? Always change the language, change the perspective. Ask yourself, how did that situation serve me? How did that marriage serve me? How did that friend serve me? How did that job serve me? So that I'm here today stronger and better than ever. If you're here today watching the live and you've had issues in the past, just know that it happened for you, not to you. That when you change, I promise you, when you change the language, it literally shifts your whole life. It shifts your mindset. And you will stop thinking like, oh, people are against me, or the world is against me, or Allah doesn't love me. Because usually what happens is when we start falling into that victim mode,
everything else becomes bad. Everything. It affects your deen, it affects your relationships, it affects your marriage, your business. Everything is going to have a knock-on effect. It's not just going to be that, okay, I feel I'm depressed and that's it. No, it's your whole life. You've put yourself in that cage now. You've trapped yourself in that cycle now. It's your responsibility to get out of it and seek help from whoever you think is able to get you the results.
And I want to add, like, sorry, before I forget, just remember, guys, everyone is working from their trauma. When I learned this, I recently some woman was on my Instagram talking about me wearing a face veil. She's like, oh, how can you be a coach? And when I looked at her, I said, she's dealing with some issues, some deep rooted trauma. And then it came out in the end. She was like, yeah, I was religiously abused. It made sense why she was attracting my clothing, because she has a trauma. If you realize that people, I'm not saying justify it for them, but understand. When you understand other people, it's never about you. When people hurt you and it causes you to feel a way about yourself, it was never about you, because people are working from their own trauma. They're working from their own unhealed emotional wounds and they're projecting it onto you, right? Once you realize that, you'll think, okay, this situation is not about me. It's always about that other person, because if you're not venting out any toxic energy to anyone, that means, alhamdulillah, you have some healing inside of you. But it's not always the case for the other person in your life. So just remember that people work from their own traumas. They work from the tools that they have. And most people have limited tools. They don't have the language tools. They don't have the mindset tools. They don't have the belief tools. They don't have the right beliefs in their minds. So once you understand that, you'll have more compassion for people and think, okay, this person is dealing with something. It's got nothing to do with me.
SubhanAllah, just let it go. Literally 3 words.
That's the best 3 words in your life. Let it go.
Let it go.
Yeah.
And honestly, SubhanAllah, it's heavy carrying that around you wherever you are. It's difficult. It's traumatizing. It kills you, you know. And I remember speaking to a client about like over a week ago, and she was telling me, I just can't go to sleep. I'm thinking of him, and I'm thinking of this that happened, and I just can't go to sleep, and I'm depressed. And she got into this phase and the cycle, and it is a vicious circle. And you know, and I feel for you if you're going through that, SubhanAllah. So reach out to us, but remember, it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. And before going to sleep, I know a lot of people have, you know, naturally when you're about to doze off, right? You'll have things you think about. Okay, how's my day been, etc. Right? And instead of thinking about that past event that is really bugging you, and you're becoming sleepless or you know, you've got insomnia because of it, right? And it's causing you that heartache. Think of, make a list of all your, SubhanAllah, your gratitude, your wins, how much, where, you know, you've come so far, all these wonderful qualities that you have. Say thank you, say Alhamdulillah. What does it cost you? And how much is it costing you to hang on to these old feelings, to hang on to them day in, day out, SubhanAllah? And what is it going to cost you if you're going to hold these events, this trauma, just for the next 6 months? How much of a big impact is that going to have on your life? How you show up as a wife, a husband, you know, a son, a daughter, I don't know, a colleague, whatever you're doing. What would it cost you if you held on to it for the next year? But you're holding on to it forever. What would it cost you to hang on to it for the next 5 years? You know, SubhanAllah, and you have to have that plan in place. You have to acknowledge, okay, you know what, and this is the thing that helped me, SubhanAllah. You know, you can contact any of us for a chat. So you can you have to create that life you want. It requires work. It requires commitment. It requires letting go of them crappy beliefs, letting go of that story, letting go of that event, and owning up and saying, you know what, I've had enough. I'm 100% responsible. No one's going to do nothing for me. I have to do this. Nobody's coming to save me. There is no Prince Charming. I'm responsible, and I'm going to create the life that I want. I'm going to create that marriage that I want. And when you become in that creation mode, my phone, when you become in that creation mode, SubhanAllah, you will see your life will completely shift, because now you're not on a default future, which is like a flat line. You're going up. Right? You're creating that, SubhanAllah. You're literally creating that future. And that future, and people don't create it because that requires work. That requires you being vulnerable. That requires time and effort. It might require you investing in yourself and having that, or hiring a coach, SubhanAllah.
Yeah, and I want to add to that, guys. You know, healing is painful. It's more painful than the actual event that happened. It's more painful than that divorce. Healing is more painful than losing your job. Like 3 years ago, when I got sacked from my job, and my mom had passed away, like literally within each other, I got sacked. A week after burying my mom, I was pregnant, and the worst thing I felt was depression. I was spiraling into depression. But once I changed the language around it, once I realized, you know what, this all happened for me. Like, look at where I am now. Just like Psycho saying, what life do you want to create? When I was in that situation, I thought, you know, the life I want to create, I want to bounce back. And I want to show people that, you know what, this happened for me. And if I can bounce back from it, anyone else can as well. Like, guys, depression is temporary. I promise you. Once you realize depression is not a life sentence, it's only when you give it that meaning. It's only when you give it that value. When you say to yourself that, oh, this happened to me, that's it. That's my life over. You have the choice to make that. You have the choice to make that decision. You can either choose to evolve from it and grow from it, or you can choose to stay stuck in a rut. And most people end up staying stuck in a rut because they can't see past it.
And that is so sad, Rosie. And that
Yeah.
is so sad because you want to help them, you want to serve them. You know, Alhamdulillah, Allah gave us the ability, you know, and with Allah's pleasure, Alhamdulillah, and His blessing and everything, we were able to create that future we wanted. But it took work, it took
Mm,
effort. What people are doing is they're living in that past event
yeah.
as if it's happening right now, and they're repeating it every single day of their life. They're like this, and
Mm,
they're stuck, you know. And somebody's experiences, you know, they're horrible in that day. Horrible is also subjective. What may be horrible for you might not be something, you know. Two people you might have who've gone through the same thing, they're the same age, same background, same upbringing, same nationality, right? They've both been traumatized in, I don't know, a car accident or a divorce,
mm,
right? Subhanallah. And one person gets up and takes that initiative and takes that responsibility, and the other one can't handle it. Now, the emotions associated with that memory are just as fresh, but one has taken that ownership and said, yeah, that's still painful for that person.
mm,
It was painful for me when I had to come out of my own divorce. It was very
mm.
painful. It was so hard, subhanAllah. It was heart wrenchingly painful. I don't deny that. And that's why I can really relate to people that come to me with their marriage issues, because I've been there and I know how it is. But that responsibility, nobody's going to pick you back up. You have to do it for yourself. And
Yeah,
thank
guys.
you very much, Carrie and Sajid as well. Sajid has just made a comment. Educational and inspiring discussion. As a counsellor, it's good to see the both of you discussing issues around mental health.
Thank
Keep
you,
it up.
Sajid.
Jazakallah khair. Yeah.
Jazakallah khair.
So you have to, and I think that's what PTSD is as well, isn't it? Because
Mm,
the emotions associated with that memory or that event are just as fresh.
yeah.
And
And let me
what
put
we
it.
try and you have to try and get to touch that edge of the memory
Mm,
to try, you know, we won't go, you know, subhanAllah, you don't have to jump right in, but touch the edge of it to allow this healing.
yeah. That's something that, guys, that I do in with my therapy. I do two things. I help, like, I'll give you an example from my perspective. When I was young, I was bullied a lot in school. So as I grew older, I suppressed those memories, right? But when I opened my business, I just couldn't get out of this rut of feeling like things aren't right and I'm feeling like I'm not good enough. Then when I went back to that memory, I was taken back to that memory when I was bullied, and I totally forgot about it, right? But then the belief that occurred there during that memory, during the time when I was getting bullied, is that there's something wrong with me. I don't belong here. It's not good to be seen or heard. Those are the beliefs that I created. And it makes sense why then I was afraid to be myself when I was older. And this is what I see with a lot of depressed people. You're afraid to be yourself. So as I got older, I was like, okay, let me just, not be too much. Let me just be quiet. Let me just try and fit in with the crowd. And when you do that a lot, it causes like this conflict within yourself. So sometimes it's okay to go to the memory, because you have to remember, guys, you're not reliving it, you're just revisiting it. That's
Yeah,
it. Looking at it from the outside. Imagine like a cinema screen. You're just looking at it from the outside in and trying to disconnect yourself from it. Because what happens is, when you, like, I want you to imagine a memory that you have. Are you in the picture, or are you looking on it from the outside? If you're in the picture, that means you're connected to the emotion.
you're
Yeah.
experiencing it, and it's more
Right.
painful.
That's why
It's
it's
going
more
to be, yeah.
painful. Yeah.
Mm.
But if you are looking at it from the outside, all my memories now, alhamdulillah, I'm not in it. I'm always looking at it from the outside. Like, oh yeah, I remember this. It's like I'm looking at a younger girl, doing her thing, whatever. So if you are in the memory, usually it's because you have the emotion and the belief connected to that memory. And the key is to detach yourself from it. And the way you detach is by taking yourself out of the picture and looking at it from an outside view.
Yeah, as a third person. So if you were
Yeah.
your best friend, yeah, and you were your own bestest friend, your own bestest guider, supporter, helper, the person that really looks out for you and loves you, that person you have in your life, right? It could even be your parents or somebody in your family. And what would they advise you in that situation? You have to be
Mm.
your own cheerleader,
Yeah.
you have to really do that, subhanAllah, because Depression is you're in that past event, and these are very deep and dark kind of emotions. They're awful,
Mhm.
and something keeps pulling you back. But you
Yeah.
have to come back in the present, subhanallah. And even in NLP, we have something else that we people who are so detached. I've worked with couples before who are just like, honestly, like
Mm.
there's no feeling there, and I'm like, wow, right? You don't know what to say. Like, how do I deal with this? Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
because
different people, subhanallah.
yeah,
I didn't come across that before, and I was like, wow, this person has really been affected,
wow,
and you just
yeah.
need to come. You just need to look from that past event. You need to come to the present.
Mm-hmm.
Notice what you, for example, now, if you look outside you, yeah, notice what you're seeing, the colors. Look at the brightness in where you're sat. Look at the sounds. Listen to the tonality of our voice, right? Listen to when I'm talking, the space I use between the words.
Mm-hmm.
Notice the feeling. Are you sitting down? How does that feel? Are you
Mm-hmm.
crossing your legs? Are you laying? Are you even lying down? Is there any sensations in your body? Notice, what are you smelling? Is there? Have you got chewing gum? Or are you tasting something? Do you have a sense of balance? Say to yourself, I am here now.
Mm-hmm.
You're not in the future where you're anxious, and you're not depressed, which is in the past, and you need to come back now
Mm-hmm.
to the now state. And when you're really present and still, that's really powerful as well, subhanAllah. I just
It is
did a very
kind of
quick, fast thing, but
yeah. Being in the present moment is so true. And guys, if you're holding resentment against anyone, I just want to let you know that forgiveness is giving up hope that the past will change. Because a lot of
yeah,
us are holding on to the past, hoping we can change it. What if, what if? And we all know that the word what if comes from shaitan, that's the son of the shaitan to take you back down that road of what if, what if? What if I was like this? What if I was more open? What if I was more loving? What if I was a better friend? Actually, I was on the phone to someone yesterday. She's a good friend of mine, and she's going through like a relationship issue. And she was like, what if I was just a better person? I was like, what if you are a good person and you too focus on the past, you're not focusing on the present, and you're not looking
yeah,
at your
subhanAllah.
qualities now? What qualities do you have now that you can work with that can take you to the future and the place you want to go? So I want you to remember that forgiveness is giving up hope that the past will change. When I heard that quote, my whole life changed. I was like, wow, that's the reason why I was feeling depressed. Like why I was so bitter when I got sacked from my job. Why I was so bitter and angry over the fact that it was the same time that my mum died is because I was holding on something. You know what? If I just had worked harder, if I never took days off, if I was more like on the go, all these things go on in your head because it's there to keep you depressed. So once you
Yeah,
forgive yourself, guys. It's not about forgiving the other person. It's also about forgiving yourself. Forgiving yourself for allowing things to transpire, or forgiving yourself for like just allowing yourself to be in that emotional state where it's negatively charged. Forgive yourself and tell yourself that I want to do better, I want to feel better. And once you do that and you live in the present moment, the only thing that you can control right now is this moment. You can't even control the next minute, like the
yeah,
next second, the next minute. You only can control what's happening now, right
yeah,
inside of your head. So the best thing to do is just to be in a state of peace, be in a
yeah,
state of gratitude, be in the moment, like live in the moment. Just like Taika was saying, get grounded. Like get grounded in yourself, live in the moment, and that way you're not going to always be altering states. And I don't mean like, depression is like when you have those bouts when you can't get out of bed. It's okay to feel low. Everyone has their low days. We're not talking about those days where you just feel low, you feel like I need
we
to chill
have
for
them,
a bit.
subhanAllah. Life
Yeah,
is up and down all the time. It is.
yeah, exactly. And I
There's a difference, Rosie, because if obviously, like for example, if a
yeah,
close family member passed away of yours, naturally you are
yeah,
probably going to go into a bit of depression. That's normal. That's
yeah,
expected. That's the normal kind of thing to do. But when it affects your life completely, all the time, every time, it's been going on for years. You're struggling to get married, or you're having problems in your relationship, and it's now you've brought that baggage into the relationship. Subhanallah, then it becomes a problem when it's
yeah.
ongoing. We're
Because you're
not
waiting for that
saying,
person to fix you.
yeah,
Usually,
yeah,
when you bring baggage into other relationships, because you're waiting for someone to fix you. No one can fix you, guys. You can only fix yourself.
you
You
have
are
to
the
do it
only
yourself.
one,
Yeah,
yeah, that can fix you, that can sit in front you. When you go to bed, you go to bed alone. When you die alone, right? You have to realize that you are in your body. So only you can fix yourself. You can't wait for someone to fix you. You can't wait for the money to come for you to feel happy. You can't wait for the husband or the wife to come for you to feel happy. You can't keep waiting for things. You have to create it for yourself.
Yeah,
And the best
yeah.
way to create it, just like Cycle was saying, is live in the moment.
Yeah, and you have to create that life. And subhanAllah, another thing I want to touch upon as well, with linked to depression, is also our lack of tawakkul, right?
Yeah.
Our reliance and our trust in Allah.
Hmm.
And especially things related to divine decree, especially things related to things like marriage and divorce,
Yeah.
because a person can really break and really, struggle and suffer from these things that happen. But where is your tawakkul? And you need to have that trust in Allah as well. It's
Yeah.
all combined, it's holistic kind of approach. It's not just one way or one angle looking at it. It's combined, and once you have the holistic approach in your being and how you deal with things, you're going to find it so much easier to deal with.
Yeah, and I mentioned this yesterday actually in the live that you guys, when I'm feeling down, I make dua istikhara. That's it. You know
Yeah.
why? Because dua istikhara is like, Allah, I'm leaving it all to you. You know what? I can't deal with this. This thing is doing my head in. It's affecting my mood. It's affecting my energy. I make dua istikhara, the actual dua istikhara. I make the dua, say Allah, and wallahi, I feel so much better after it. It's just like something. It soothes my heart. Like, okay, I left it to Allah. I've announced that Allah is my Lord, and He's the only one that can help me. And once you do that, trust me, guys, like the energy, you shift the energy. And another dua you can make is the one that Musa made when he was fleeing Egypt. And it's Rabbi inni lima anzalta ilayya min khayrin fakir.
Fakir, yeah.
Oh Allah, I'm in need of all the good that you can bestow on me. So he asked Allah, Allah, whatever good you have for me right now, I'm in this state. I've just left my home. I've been walking for hours, for days, for however long he was walking for. I need your help. That those two du'as I make, alhamdulillah, like honestly, it just changes my energy. And I advise you guys to do
Alhamdulillah,
the
yeah.
same.
And with istikhara, the thing is, you feel a sense of comfort and peace in your heart, because
Yeah.
now this big thing that you're struggling with, or big decision that you're struggling with, right, is now you've put your trust in Allah. Let it be, let it flow. Don't
Yeah.
attach yourself so much to this outcome that it's going to ruin you and it's going to break you. So having that trust in Allah is also important.
Yeah.
You
And we're
have
not
to try your
saying,
hammer first.
yeah, and we're not saying that you're low in iman. This is a lot of the misconception people make, that you have no iman if you're depressed, because people say that the ayah says
Yeah.
those who forget Allah are depressed. Yes, there's an element of that, which is what we're talking about. That sometimes it's because we've taken ourselves away from making Allah the source of everything, our expectations, the source of our happiness, the source of our love. But if you're doing that and you're feeling depressed, usually it could be because of a trauma that you have from childhood, and you
Yes.
need to get rid of it. So if you're doing all that work and you're making Allah the source of your comfort, you're making Allah the connection, you're connected to Allah in that way, but you're still feeling down inside and you're feeling depressed and you feel like this feeling won't go away, then it usually is a trauma. It's like a memory that you have and a belief that you've created around your identity that you need to get rid of, that you need to
And you know
uproot.
what? I struggled with this myself, and I'm not going to lie and pretend I didn't. Because after my divorce, I was like, I did everything for this person. Why hasn't it worked out? I've done X, Y, Z, and I'd make a list of things. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, and it still hasn't materialized. And so really it could be a mixture of things, that it's not just the trauma that has occurred, but also there's a huge lack of tawakkul in that situation, where you just so badly want this outcome or result, especially when it comes to marriage, right? Because people have these attachments and they can become unhealthy, subhanallah, right? And you think, I've done this, I've done that, I've done this, I'm doing everything I should be. Why isn't this working out for me? And subhanallah, that's when we need to really step our game up and think, okay, there's a greater plan behind this plan. There's a master
Honestly, there
plan
is.
at play here.
Yeah.
There's a master plan behind everything that is going on in our lives.
Yeah.
We have to just figure out the ways to make sure that we are, our iman is kept safe. We're doing what we should be doing as Muslims, and we're also healing from the things that have caused us pain.
Yeah, right. It's all holistic, guys. Or you can't, it's like you have to focus on every little aspect.
Yeah.
And if you can't cancel one without the other, it
Yeah,
has to
you
be
can't
every
just take
aspect.
one thing and
Yeah.
you can't just say, I'm gonna leave the deen and I'm gonna do what I want and just
Right.
therapy, right? SubhanAllah,
Yeah.
then you've lost your
It's all
purpose,
together. It's all together.
right? It's holistic, it's combined, subhanallah.
Yeah.
And, you know, share your insights. What are you taking away? What is it that you need help with? What is something that, you know, you've seen in your life or your own family members that you know, you want your questions answered? Please share them with us, ask us, you know. And also, people, you know, I'm sure you're going to know at least one person who's suffering from anxiety or depression. Share
Yeah.
this video with them, send
Yeah,
it to them
please
as a
do.
private message, you
Yeah.
know, so they can benefit, subhanallah. Because, like, we don't know, is it tonight? It's not Ramadan. I think it's probably going to
Tomorrow.
be announced tomorrow, if I'm not
Maybe,
mistaken.
inshallah.
Our
Yeah.
calendar said it on, I'm just thinking of the calendar. But, you know,
Tomorrow
Ramadan
or
is here.
Friday,
This
yeah.
is the perfect time for you to rejuvenate, really connect back to Allah. You know,
Yeah.
I know we're in lockdown, subhanallah, but this is a blessing in disguise. This time,
Yeah.
you know, we're forced to, before we were on the go 24/7, running here, running there, going everywhere, so busy we didn't have time for nothing. And now we've
Mm.
kind of been forced to stay home for a bit. Wallahi, this is a blessing. This is serving you.
Mm.
If you're utilizing this time, yeah, and you're doing what you need to do, this is a huge blessing for us.
Of
Alhamdulillah.
course. And you know, I
Alhamdulillah.
want to add to that, guys. I want to give you guys some hope. Like, look at Saika shared her story of divorce, and alhamdulillah, she's here now. She's a coach for married people and divorcees. Look at my story. Like, I was depressed 3 years ago, in a rut, broke,
So we've all been
homeless.
there. It's not like
Yeah,
anybody's
it's not like
infallible or,
it's like we
yeah.
don't. It's not like we don't know what depression is, guys. We know what it is. We've been there. We've been in the deep trenches of depression. But alhamdulillah, we've come out of it. Like, we want to give you guys some hope and inspiration that you can get out of depression. You can, if you put in the work. Like, Saika's done the work, I've done the work, and it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible going to those deep, dark places of yourself and having to face your fears and have the courage to face yourself. Because usually what it is, you don't want to face your trauma. You don't want to face your issues. You want to, like, avoid it. And the more you avoid it, the less likely you will get out of it. So just as a place of inspiration, just let you know that we've been there. So don't think that
Yeah.
we're being insensitive or we don't know how depression feels. We've been there. Like, guys, even like something that intimate that I tell people is that I was suicidal at some points in my life. So I've been there myself, and I know how it feels to be so low in yourself that you just can't get out of it. You're thinking that you're living in your head. It's like this voice in your head that just won't go away. So just understand that we all know what it feels like, but you can get help and you can get out of
Yeah,
it.
and what's more horrible, subhanAllah, it is actually more worse for you to live in that for the
Yeah.
next 6 months, for the next 12
God.
months, for the next 10 years, for the next, till some people live with it forever. And you know, they die with it, literally. And that sounds really harsh and horrible to say, but that's who they've become, and they've just accepted it, and they haven't done anything about it.
Yeah. And
And that's really sad. That's heartbreaking.
some people say that it could be hormones and gut health. Okay, I mean, guys, it can be, but for me personally, I did all the work on my health, on my gut. Alhamdulillah, cut off all gluten, cut off mercury. You know, I made sure that my diet was healthy. I still felt depressed. So usually, I say this. I'm not saying this is, but there has been scientific evidence on it that sometimes your mindset causes your hormone issues. Your beliefs, your patterns, your trauma causes the hormonal imbalance. It's not the other way around, because Allah created you perfectly. He created you. If you were not born with any defects, that means you were created perfectly, right? If you were born with hormonal issues, it's a different case scenario. Like, I work with people who had PCOS, and when I took them to the root cause of trauma, it was something that happened in childhood. And after the session, alhamdulillah, a month or two later, the PCOS had gone. So usually, if you're doing the gut health work, if you have good nutrition, if you're eating well and you're still feeling depressed,
That is important. We're not
it
saying that
obviously is important, yeah.
but it's not, it might
The
not be
cause,
just one
the
thing
core,
that you
yeah,
need. It's just the health. There's more
yeah,
to it than that, especially when people have been through a lot of incidents and events in their life that are quite deep.
yeah. So let us
What
know
other
your
questions?
insights, guys, and let us know
Yeah.
your insights. So yeah, people talk about the gut health and the thingy and the hormones as well. So it's good to always have a balance. Yes, guys, if you're eating crap, if you're eating McDonald's every
Gonna make
single
you feel
day,
like
of
rubbish.
course
Yeah.
it's going to make you feel like rubbish because you're not getting nutrition. It's very important to get nutrition in your body. So if you're not getting the right nutrition, of course, if you're not getting exercise, of course, it can affect your mental health, but it's not the cause. Like
Yeah.
exercising and,
We're looking at the root cause
the
here.
root cause, yeah.
We're not looking at the
Yeah,
effects and potential things.
yeah, the band-aid,
We're literally going into,
deep.
yeah, we're
Yeah,
getting the
guys.
seed out of the ground kind of thing.
Yeah,
Literally.
exactly.
Where did this all begin from?
Thank
Where
you,
did it
because
all
you
start?
weren't born depressed. Guys, you have to
Yes.
realize you were not born depressed. You were born with so much confidence that when you pooped in your nappy or in the toilet, your parents clapped for you. And you're like, yay, I am the bomb. Like, I can go to the toilet and my parents are going to clap for me. So guys, you were not born depressed. You were not born anxious. There were events that happened in your life that created a belief, that suppressed an emotion, that created a behavior pattern. The behavior pattern is depression and anxiety. Because trust me, guys, when you cried as a baby, your parents came running. No one ignored you. So you were not born depressed. You weren't born anxious. These are all symptoms. Depression and anxiety is a symptom of something that happened in your life.
Yeah. So what things are you also taking away from this? What have you learned? What are you going to be doing, inshallah, differently? So we said, we mentioned some things about tawakkul. We told you about becoming present, right?
Yeah.
Looking at the root cause, finding somebody who can really help you take out this root cause, maybe going to sleep at night, thinking of all the things you've got to be grateful for, looking and analyzing on the fact that what's this thing going to cost me if I hang on to these old feelings or this event. What is it gonna take away from my life in the future, and not just the near future, but like long-term future? Subhanallah, 5 years, 10 years. How's it gonna affect your kids?
Exactly. Henna Creation said, so what I figured is accept whatever is happening in your life as Allah's plan and find gratitude in it and look for what good has the incident brought you. Yeah, true, guys. Thank everyone in your life that caused you harm. So if you're gonna blame them for something, also thank them for it, because through it you found yourself. You became more of yourself. Someone said, that London lad asked, have you guys experienced this? I'm guessing he's asking about depression and anxiety. Can you tell us how?
100% worse than depression and anxiety. It was horrible. Divorce is very, very painful for me.
Yeah,
it was really difficult, and I'm not a fan of talking about it too much because I know it's a bit like, should I not be,
I don't mind talking about it, guys.
it was really, really difficult for me. It was really heartbreaking for me. I was so heartbroken. I did not know what to do and where to begin and how to begin my life all over again after that situation, because I really thought that, okay, this is it. I'm married now for life. This is my husband, come rain or shine, and this is the person I'm gonna be with forever. And that didn't happen, subhanallah. And that's, it did cause me a lot of pain in that situation.
For me, when I was depressed, and that's when I came back to the UK, and then I went through a divorce as well. So I just had a newborn. Then I went through a divorce. So for me, the depression was like, whatever I do turns to dust. Like nothing would ever go right in my life, and I found it very difficult to get out of bed. I found it difficult to connect with my kids. That was the worst one. And a lot of mothers are like that. When they're depressed, they can't connect with their children. They find it very difficult to play. Guys, if you're a mother and you find it very difficult to play with your kids, and you get angry when they play with you, that could be a form of depression as well. I used to get angry. I used to get so annoyed. Like, why do you want to play with me all the time? That's because they're kids. Kids learn through play. So that was two things that I experienced through my depression, was finding it hard to get out of bed and finding it hard to connect with my kids. But alhamdulillah, when I was eating healthy as well, guys. I was eating very healthy during that time. I was gluten free.
That wasn't enough.
Yeah. It wasn't enough. I was actually on the Dr. Sebi diet. If you heard of Dr. Sebi or Sebi, the way people pronounce it, I was on a detox as well. So I was detoxing my body way before the whole trauma. Before I got sacked and before my mum died, I was on this year-long plan of doing eating well. So I was eating well myself, but then this thing happened, and it took me back to a childhood event where I felt, okay, this is just my life. Yeah, we did do therapy. You went through therapy, didn't you?
Yeah, of course I did. I mean,
I went through therapy.
I went through counseling. That didn't really work. I did CBT, which is something that the NHS do, cognitive behavior therapy. That didn't really work for me. I went to, after the divorce, I also did interpersonal therapy, which is called IPT. That didn't do nothing for me. But really, it was because the cause, I wasn't getting to the bottom of it, really.
Right.
And once you get to the bottom of it, you pull it out from the root, kind of thing.
Right,
you replace
exactly.
it, and then you create a strategic plan. You create that future that you want, subhanallah.
Right,
You do the work, and that's when you see the results. We've also got a comment on Facebook. I love that, Rosie. If you want to blame someone for something, make sure you also blame them.
Thank them, yeah.
Thank them, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
And also, guys, what I did mental emotional release, because my I went through layers. So I did timeline therapy, which really helped me
Yeah.
desensitize, because I went through sexual abuse as a child. So I had to desensitize myself from it. And then I did that, really helped. And then I went through mental emotional release, because after I healed from the sexual abuse, I still was having issues. And then I found out that the root cause of me was that, because one time my mom said to me, I'm like my dad. For me, I felt like my dad was a bad person. Obviously, he has his own issues. May Allah guide him, I mean. But because she said that to me, I felt like an inherently bad person, and I couldn't get rid of that feeling. So when I went through mental emotional release, which is a way to disconnect yourself from the language and the memory, you disconnect the emotion. Once I did that, alhamdulillah, like I've not gone through bouts of depression since. I've not had any feelings. I've had low days, but I've not gone into that space where I'm just like, I can't do anything, I can't function. So there's
Alhamdulillah, may
ways to
Allah
do it.
SWT make it easy for everybody that is going through this. You know, we feel for you. We know it is difficult. We know it is hard. But inshallah, it's not. You have to, once you get yourself out of it and you do the work. Inshallah, you will see the results, and you can get out of it. And there's always a way out of it. Inshallah.
Yeah, that London says we need a part 2. Well, we might do a part 2. We don't know yet.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe. SubhanAllah.
But yes, get into the root cause, guys. Honestly, I would say to you, hire someone, hire a therapist. Me and Psycho, we do this. We've studied NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming. It's all about changing your language. I've studied rapid transformational therapy, and I've studied mental emotional. And Psycho does this as well. She helps couples, overcome depression, helps women overcome depression. I've done the same thing. So reach out to any of us. Like I would say, if you've been struggling with depression for a long time, you need to get to the root cause of it, rather than putting band-aids on it and trying to
just pretending it doesn't exist or something like that. Yeah. Subhanallah. Any more questions, comments?
So Ukti Azra said, people say that if you are depressed, then that shows you have weak iman. Is it true?
No, I don't know what like.
But Prophet had years was depressed when Abu Talib passed away, and Khadija was
in the same year.
Same year, he was depressed, guys. There was another hadith. It's a Sahih hadith, guys. Like this is Sahih Bukhari, where he was on the edge of the mountain and he was thinking about falling off. This is in Sahih Bukhari, so don't think I'm like quoting nothing rubbish. But he was so depressed, I think, because the revelation never came. So Prophet went through that himself. You're a human being. You have to realize, guys, you're human. You are a human being that has emotions. Sometimes the emotions would overtake you. It does not mean that you have a bad relationship with Allah or you lack a connection with Allah. Usually because there's a trauma or there's some kind of belief that you have within your identity, not within your religious identity, but your identity as a human. You have to be able to separate the two. Because usually what happens is we try and spill it all over. If you are doing the work and you read and you're praying and you still feel that way, then is another issue.
Something else, something else that you need to work on. SubhanAllah. Has it gone really dark in my room again? Because it feels like
Psycho's disappearing.
Yesterday, like it was just going all black, and I was like, "Oh my God, is there a ghost behind you? Why is it just all of a sudden gone black?" I should really put the light on, but it's normally the window. SubhanAllah.
One more question: how to get out of procrastination that's linked to depression?
PM us, DM us.
Guys, fast results. You want fast results? Just PM one of us. I'm not saying to sound cocky, but guys, if you are struggling and you'll be struggling for time, like months and months and years, and nothing is working, get help. Like,
I think
don't be afraid.
What? These are some of the questions are specific, some are general. So we might misunderstand. We could misunderstand. If you really, we want to break it down and really find out what's making you depressed, when it is, how it is, the trigger, what you're doing, what's linked to the story, what's linked to the belief. There's a whole thing behind it, right? It's not just one. I'm procrastinating. It might not even be you're procrastinating because you're depressed. It might be something else, subhanallah. But you think it's that.
Yeah.
So subhanallah. But inshallah, it can be resolved. It can definitely be resolved. Yes. We've done it, been there, done that.
So guys, to get to the root, if you want to do it by yourself, you can get to the root. You can ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Ask yourself why 7 times and you'll get to the root. So if you're feeling depressed, why am I feeling depressed? Because this person did this to me. Why is this affecting me? That's the question you ask. Why is this affecting me? Because it means that person doesn't care about me. Why is that affecting me? Keep asking why and you'll get to the root cause. You know, when I did this, I remember I did this a long time ago. I got to the so I don't know what happened in my life, but I was feeling really, really depressed. And I asked myself the 7 whys, and I got to the root cause. In childhood, I felt abandoned. So I was like, because I've been abandoned before, this person has abandoned me now. So I feel like that little girl that was abandoned. So ask yourself why. If you want to find the root cause of this feeling, this issue, ask yourself the 7 whys. And keep asking until you hit the core that makes you cry. Because I started crying when I was like, oh my God, like that's the reason why. Because as a child, I was abandoned. I felt abandoned by my father. So that's the reason why this is like triggering me now. That's a good way to get to the root. This one last question. How can I get past, Isa asked, how can I get past the feeling of when I am doing so good, doing the work, and all of a sudden this heavy feeling of you can't do it even after one setback? Oh, so you're doing really well. Then something sets you back. Did you get it? So it's like you're doing really well, everything's going great, and then something just goes wrong, and you're thinking, "Oh my God, this is like I can't do it anymore." How do you bounce back from that?
So is it motivation or is it what is it?
So it's like.
And what are you doing really well? Exactly. What is it that you're doing really well?
Yeah.
Is it your business? Is it in something else? What is it?
Usually, like I call that a form of self-sabotage. You were looking for a way to fail already. So maybe if you could be like, going to the gym every single day, and then you hurt your ankle, and you're like, okay, that's it.
That's so that is the pattern. That's the pattern of behavior that person is falling into. It's pattern. Something happens. There's a trigger. There's a pattern. There's a feeling, and that's it's all linked. SubhanAllah. So we'd have to look at what is actually causing you to self-sabotage. Or feel like have that blame
and you stay stuck in that rut, like it was never going to work. It's self-sabotage. And that goes back to a pattern, just like Saika said, a root cause. So guys, we're out of time. Jazakallah khair for joining. It was really like nice interacting with you guys. We really enjoy these sessions with you. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. on Instagram and Facebook. And what we're talking about tomorrow, Saika?
You know what? You guys need to give us some more topics.
Give us some topics, guys, to talk about.
Give us some topics. Yeah,
we're freestyling here.
SubhanAllah, we're doing this for you. We've got like at least another. How many? Are we on day 13 today or 12?
Yeah, day 13. We're doing day 13.
13, SubhanAllah. So we've got really 17 more lives of value to give to you. What are the biggest things that you are struggling with in your life?
Yeah.
That you want clarity on, that you want guidance on. PM us, DM us, or write it in the comments if you can, SubhanAllah, and stay in touch. And inshallah, tomorrow might be Ramadan.
Oh yeah,
can you believe it?
I can't wait. I'm scared and excited at the same time. That London lad said, this live is the best part of Corona lockdown. Oh, alhamdulillah. So glad you guys are enjoying.
Yeah, may Allah SWT help us all utilize it and put this into practice. That's when the real change is in the transformation. And that's the real, winning part of it.
Oh, someone asked how to contact us. Just DM us. Send us a direct message. Yeah. DM or PM. If you're on Facebook, PM. If you're on Instagram, DM. You can always message us and contact us, and we'll reply, inshallah.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, everyone wants a part 2 of this.
Part 2. Like part 2 of course we play. Okay, give us a bit more juice. Give us specific scenarios. Give us specific scenarios.
Give us a specific scenario. Yeah,
so then we can go into detail on that as well. Yeah. Because everybody's gonna have their own situation, scenario, event, belief, etc. Give us a couple and we'll do part 2 on it, inshallah.
Inshallah.
We can do part 2 on it.
Inshallah. So until next time, till tomorrow. See you later, guys. Assalamu alaikum. Share it and like it. Yeah, share it with people. Share this video with people, as many people as you can.
You're being forced here. You're being forced.
Okay.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a good one. Assalamu alaikum.